I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring an extraordinary story of survival, perseverance, and the pursuit of the American dream. We were talking about a powerful book. It's called Sofia, Brussels, Washington, From Serfdom to Freedom to Self-Accomplishment. It's written by a terrific author. His name is Michael Gloukhov, and he shares his journey from war-torn Bulgaria through his escape to Belgium and ultimately to building a new life in the United States, where he served in the U.S. Navy Reserve, becoming a voice for freedom. If you're looking for an inspiring memoir that spans history, geopolitics, and personal triumph, this book is a must-read. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at King Pages Press for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Michael, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan, for the introduction. It's my honor to face the public and in a very humble way to share my experience. Hopefully that will help authors uh, achieving better results in their life through
Absolutely.
my example.
Absolutely. Your story is a powerful story. You were born in the middle of World War II, grew up under communist rule. How did those experiences shape your beliefs about freedom and democracy?
I consider myself individualist and already at the age of 15 or even earlier, I was trying to listen to Western radios. Radio Free Europe, Voice of America, uh, even Radio Belgrade, although Yugoslavia was communist at that time, they had great Western music which was inspiring. In communist Bulgaria, you could hear only folkloric music, Stalin's interminable speeches, and the lies in the news about the great future under communism, while the misery was palpable and actually despicable.
Mhm. Absolutely. Escaping Bulgaria was a major risk, of course. What went through your mind and your heart as you made that life-altering decision?
That was a long time dream that became a project. Uh, I did my homework, however. A lot of people escaped. Some of them were caught, went to jail or labor camps. Most of them at that time, early 60s and in the 50s, managed to escape to various Western countries, basically through Greece, Turkey, Yugoslavia, but then they should not be caught there until you reach the Austrian or the Italian border, and you risk your life absolutely in all those attempts.
Mm.
I have to say that you don't travel with a passport. You don't have a passport, foreign passport. Only the privileged class of the communists and their families have such passports, strong currencies. They could travel, study abroad in Western countries, and basically that was the privileged class. The rest of the populace was condemned to stay inside, and if you try to get out, it's impossible.
Mm.
Uh, if you try to cross physically the border to the west, you'd be probably caught several dozens of kilometers before reaching the border, or if you try to cross the border, you're going to be shot.
Mm.
I managed, the situation evolved during the years. I managed to fool the system, used all the information I could have, and obtain a permit to go to Yugoslavia uh, for so-called meeting with relatives. Uh, I knew that my story could not be necessarily checked because the two police forces were not cooperating. Yugoslavia was in a hybrid situation, socialist, but using the two blocks. And actually, at the end uh, of the initial Stalinist period, when the Soviet Union tried to infiltrate their Communist Party and did not succeed, the tension increased, and ultimately by 1953 there was a Balkanic Pact using the Truman Doctrine. So Yugoslavia for the first time received American weapons. And the Truman Doctrine was something remarkable because it was giving possibility of oppressed countries to defend their freedom or to fight for their freedom. So Yugoslavia was in that case, and I used this hybrid situation to get there. And once there, I managed to leave Yugoslavia with Yugoslav passport, not a fake passport, through the train. I took a risk again because if I was caught, I would be extradited. But whoever doesn't take a risk doesn't succeed for sure. So here I am, still alive, thanks to the risks I decided to take. But I did my homework, I was well informed, and I spent years to prepare for that moment.
Yeah. Amazing. It's an amazing story. It took a lot of courage, a lot of bravery, and a lot of smarts, of course, as well. You went from driving a taxi cab in Belgium to earning a degree in political science. What motivated you to keep pushing forward?
To start with, because, and I describe in my book, my father was high-ranking officer, major. He became lieutenant colonel under the old system, when Bulgaria was a kingdom, and actually ally of Nazi Germany. The Bulgaria was member of the Axis, with this difference that it's the only country from that system that didn't deliver the Jews to be executed, protected them, didn't give them to Hitler, and refused the Bulgarian king, who was also from German origin, the Saxe-Coburg dynasty, uh, refused to send troops to the Eastern Front because of old historical relations with Russia from 19th century. Uh, However, once the communists arrived to power, it doesn't matter who did what or didn't. As a son of a royal officer, I was denied higher education. I had a good high school degree because of the neighborhood I used to live in Sofia. They could not deny that. I'm attached to that school, and didn't go further than that. They told me, you're young, you'll go to the factory, and this is where you're going to stay. But I decided otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. You had that determination from within, and you were able to accomplish great things, such as working as a broadcaster for Voice of America. You played a role in fighting communist propaganda with that role. Tell us what that experience was like.
Actually, the moment of truth was when I went to the army as a conscript. I refused to go. I've been invited to go to the reserve officer school. I refused twice because I knew I'll be forced to become member of the party. Once you become member of the Communist Party, yes, you're going to have privileges, but the price you're going to pay is to spy on your neighbors, to spy on your colleagues, to spy on your family, to report anything that interest of the communists, and basically you become their accomplice. And that's something, and this is a red line I was not going to cross. So I turned down the proposition. I went as a simple private in armored infantry. Uh, I faced a lot of hazing. I had some illusions in the beginning. Yes, I'm serving my country. Actually, I figured out very quickly that I was not serving my country. The Bulgarian army was at the service of the protection of the Communist Party and international communism, part of the Soviet bloc. And actually, the unit I was a combat unit attached to the Warsaw Pact, specifically for foreign interventions. And actually, this unit participated in the invasion of Czechoslovakia in August 21st, 1968. By that time, I was not there anymore. Uh, and soon after that, I managed to cross the border to Yugoslavia.
Hmm.
But uh, by surviving the Bulgarian army, I told myself, I'm going to survive no matter what. I'll try to live in good health, and I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to the destruction of communism, anytime, anywhere, by all possible means, which was also a great motivation to join the U.S. Navy. I wanted to do it in uniform, and besides the honor to wear the American uniform, because the United States is the only country in the world uh, sending help and troops for the liberation to other peoples, and I believe it's a moral duty, if possible, for any free man that can have access to wear this uniform,
Yeah,
which I
very
did for 20 years.
amazing. Amazing. You joined the U.S. Navy Reserve at 43. It's an unusual move. What made you take that step and how did it change your life?
Well, after I took this decision in while in the Bulgarian army, I hated so much communism and uh, decided that my dream would be to serve in the opposite army, to wear NATO uniform somewhere one day. That was my dream. Uh, it almost became reality in Belgium because when I became Belgian citizen, I've been conscripted at the age of 28, which I actually enjoyed. The problem was that I just completed my uh, bachelor's degree and I had to prepare a dissertation. Yes, in Belgium, you have to prepare a dissertation for a bachelor's degree, which they gave me 1 year for that. And at that the moment when they decided to call me, and I said, "Can you postpone it for me to defend my thesis and get my diploma? For me, it's extremely important." They said, "We cannot, but you have a choice. You can You're not obligated to serve for two reasons if you don't want to, because you already served in another army and because you're older than 28. So very reluctantly, I took that option. I was very frustrated, but I gave, to me, achieve higher education was a question of death or life. That was the path to success, and I did everything possible to achieve it. No matter the sacrifice, my time or everything, I drove a taxi cab for 12 years. However, my French was good because I prepared in advance. I have as a principle in my life, I would not go to live in another country if I didn't learn the language in advance. So I can melt inside immediately, which I did with the French. I took private lessons. I studied French in high school. Uh, I perfected it in Bulgaria. And when I went there, I was fluent reading, speaking, writing. 8 months later, I was already in college. But I had to wait for a few more years to improve my French to be really good. And ultimately, I went to postgraduate and took a PhD in France successfully. That was 10 years later.
Amazing. Well, you have a very storied life, so many chapters. It's captured within the pages of this book, of course. It's called Sophia Brussels, Washington, From Serfdom to Freedom to Self-Accomplishment. Michael shares his journey from war-torn Bulgaria through his escape to Belgium and ultimately building a life in the United States, serving in the U.S. Navy Reserve and becoming a voice for freedom. It's a terrific book, and it is highly recommended. Michael, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much for giving me the possibility to share uh, my life.
I appreciate your time and I enjoyed your stories. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time
Thank
this
you,
time until
Logan.
next time on Spotlight.
Absolutely.